Happening now, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren barnstorming the state of Iowa after announcing an exploratory bid for president this week. An Iowa voter confronted Warren just a short time ago over her controversial decision to use a DNA test to prove her claims that she has Native American ancestry. Well, here's Warren's response.
I am not a person of color. I am not a citizen of a tribe. When I first ran for public office, the first time was in 2012, and the Republicans honed in on this part of my history and thought they could make a lot of hay out of it. A lot of racial slurs and a lot of ugly stuff that went on. And so my decision was, I'm just going to put it all out there.
Joining us now, Jennifer Granholm, former Democratic governor of Michigan, and Symone Sanders, former national press secretary for Senator Bernie Sanders' 2016 White House bid. Symone, what is your take there on Warren having to point out, quote, I am not a person of color?
I think that's exactly what she should be doing. Full disclosure, I spoke to Senator Warren about this a number of times because, I am someone that was vocal when she put out the DNA test. I think I tweeted, and then I had an opportunity to speak with her about it. And I said when I tweeted that it's unfortunate that she felt she had to do this because this is something that Republicans, Donald Trump included, just continued to bring up. And I do believe that Senator Warren understands the sensitivities around it, the issues around it. But I think it's important that while she's out here on the campaign trail, that folks understand that, one, she knows that she has to marry her message with the real issues that folks are dealing with every single day in their lives. And there are issues that people of color in this country deal with that non-people of color do not. And Elizabeth Warren, I think in a lot of the policies that she has put forward since she's been a United States Senator, understands that and demonstrates that via her policy. I think it's important that she says it. And that is why she is saying, I am not a person of color, because it's an acknowledgement that a number of people across this country need to hear. I'm not a person of color, but I understand the plight, and I am willing to not only be an ally, but an accomplice. So I was happy to hear her say that.
She's not a person of color, but she is a woman, and that seems to be causing a little bit of a kerfuffle. This Iowa trip comes amid the headlines of ones like this. Politico, Warren battles the ghost of Hillary. From the Washington Post here, before you run against Trump, you have to run against Hillary if you're a woman. That article going on to say the women looking at White House campaigns continue to shoulder gendered criticism and demands not placed on their male counterparts. To be strong but not too tough. To be assertive without being pushy. Lest voters turn away for reasons that they may not acknowledge are sexist, but that researchers say are. Jennifer, is it sexist to compare Elizabeth Warren to Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, I mean, every woman's going to be compared to Hillary Clinton, and every woman is going to be expected to be likable and have that, try to prove themselves to be likable in a way that men don't have to. I mean, there's just research after research after research that shows that if a woman seeks an office, if a woman looks like she's too ambitious, all of a sudden she's not likable anymore. And so women who are running for office have to deal with this all the time. Women have to worry about the tone of their voice. People don't necessarily equate power with a woman, the timbre of a woman's voice. And so those kinds of issues women have to deal with all the time. I say to this to women who are running, look, you know it's out there, and to the media commentators and those who are covering this, you should know it's out there too, and check yourself, check your own biases. But for the women who are running, just recognize that that underlying bias is there, and know that people don't want to elect someone they see as, or that they believe see themselves as a victim. They want to elect a warrior. So know that the stuff is out there, but be their champion, be their warrior. Don't be a victim, and run like you believe that wholeheartedly, because you want to be their voice and their fighter rather than someone who sees themselves as a victim.
And advice coming from somebody who has claimed victory in one of these races, even despite some of the sexism that exists in our culture. Well, Warren, even Clinton, they were not the first candidates, however, to deal with issues of likability, right? I mean, here's what was said about former Vice President Al Gore in 2000 and Republican Mitt Romney in 2012, both of whom are men. Watch.
The vice president really faces the challenge of communicating to people of the United States that he's a likable, affable, effective personality.
I think what we want to see is whether or not Al Gore can take that coat hanger out of his jacket, hang loose, appear very warm and credible, and be more likable than George W.
Romney, he just can't be so stiff. He has to be more likable.
He's got to be more likable, connect with people.
He needs to also smile, be likable. He's got a likability gap.
So it's not just about women here, Simone. Likability, obviously something that has influenced voters in presidential elections for decades.
I mean, absolutely. Look, the fact that people often say that folks want to elect somebody that, yes, they want to be their champion, but somebody that they want to have a beer with, somebody that they like. That's why oftentimes you'll hear people talk about a number of different types of elections being popularity contests, which frankly, I don't think that's what this 2020 Democratic presidential primary will be. With that being said, when folks talk about likability when it comes to women, it's often they're talking about it in a way that says she's not likable because she's too strong. She comes off too shrill. These are things that if he were a man, 9 times out of 10 folks do not say that. And so I personally think we need to retire phrases like likability, like electability, phrases like viability, because oftentimes we're not. When we talk about being likable, we talk about being electable, we talk about being viable, and we're talking about what's normal. What we think is possible. We are what we think is possible given what has previously happened in the past. These are not forward-looking or forward-thinking terms that allow us to stretch our imagination, that allowed us to elect the first black president of the United States, that allowed Hillary Clinton to be the first woman to be the nominee of either party. So that's why I think these terms are archaic terms that we just need to get rid of, and we need to start talking about values, issues, and ideas.
I just jump in on this, Anna? Yeah, I mean, I agree that we want to talk about issues, but I also think that likability, whether you're a man or a woman, is an important issue, and that there is a sense of people wanting to relate. The beef that I had about this particular, the initial part of this conversation was that she was being compared to Hillary Clinton, like all women are going to be compared to, to Hillary Clinton, because they're a woman. It's not like Bernie Sanders is being compared to, is he as likable as Barack Obama? It's the bottom line is women and men are going to be running. This is going to be an awesome primary. You're going to have so many people. There's going to be such a chance to have conversations about how people will help everyday citizens, the middle class, et cetera. That is super exciting, regardless of their gender. I hope the folks in Iowa and New Hampshire and Nevada and South Carolina, who are the first primary states, have a really great chance to vet and see and have these conversations. I wish I were an Iowan in these days, because it would be so awesome to have those conversations, and hopefully people take people for who they are and not for the shape of their plumbing and not for the color of their skin, but what is it they're going to do for them. And if they're likable, great.